I would like to thank Heartland for putting together this conference. I would like to thank all of you for coming today here. And my subject is about green jobs. And I will try to tell you about the experience we had. I will try in Spain. I will try to be as serious as possible, despite of the penguins there, and despite of the ice here, and despite of some of the pictures I'm going to show you. Because since I spoke at the second International Conference of Climate Change, me and my team have been accused of being unpatriotic in my country, so I will try to be as serious as possible with this. Green jobs has a related story with the Kyoto Protocol. In fact, it was only a couple of days before the Kyoto Protocol was agreed when the European Union passed a white paper on green jobs, the first white paper. Kyoto Protocol, well, the advocates might say that it's something to protect the world. In economic terms, that is what I'm dealing with. It's more or less this that you see here is a rationing coupon that you get, like many rationing coupons that you have had in the history of Spain, for example. And with all the related problems, for example, all the zero-sum problems that you have, especially when you have a strong correlation, as you have, between emissions and economic growth. Here you have the correlation. Here you have the Spanish experience and how emissions and growth have been highly correlated. And the plan under the Kyoto Protocol, under the cap and tax, Congressman, sorry, is that from a certain moment of time, we change this correlation and the emissions go down instead of going up with the increase of wealth. So how? Because especially in the case of Spain, we had a very late industrialization, and we have almost the last very late technology. So there is no point in throwing out all the technology that we have and changing for a new one, because the difference in emission is going to be very low. But this was the plan, and this was the commitment. At a certain point, around year 2001, 2002, we had to change the trend, and the growth, economic growth, should continue, but emissions should go down. How? Well, one answer is through this rationing system, but it was not enough, and every politician knew that it was not enough with rationing, so they passed a lot of national plans for 5 years, for 10 years, for 15 years, in order to regulate from national plan from waste, national plan for polluted lands, national plan for sustainable management of public forests, and so on. I think you can tell me what kind of economy this year looks like, and this is only a sample of some of the national plans that Spain has been passing in order to complement the rationing system of the Kyoto Protocol. Well, when Mr. Zapatero came into office in the year 2004, he was very convinced that this could be made, that this could be done, but I have to say that it was the Popular Party, the Conservative Party, the one that approved the Kyoto Protocol, and Zapatero took in his hands the challenge of meeting the commitment, and in 2004, when he arrived at the office, he says, I promise a reorientation of the energy model towards one that is more centralized, more diversified and safe, less wasteful, and also more solidary, built on renewables and in particular on solar energy. This is going to be the model of the future. Well, he has been trying to do this. He has been trying very hard, in fact, harder than any other country. By the way, Energy of the Future is the name of the white paper I told you before that was passed in 1997 by the European Union. The idea, well, there have been many reasons for this for supporting renewables, but one of the ideas has been always it will create jobs, it will create green jobs. Especially in the last couple of years, we have heard a lot about all this support to renewables is going to create a lot of jobs. And in fact, in the last few months, they are saying, some politicians are saying, and some interest groups are saying, that with these policies, we are going to go out of the crisis. We are going to help the economy to go out of the crisis, thanks to subsidizing renewable energies and creating these green jobs. Well, let me tell you a couple of things about the Spanish story on green jobs. Spain is not the only country that is pushing forward this kind of policy. In the European Union, we had a mandate of having 12% of the energy produced by renewable sources in year 2010 and 20% in year 2020. But Spain has been the leader in promoting this renewable energy. We have been pushing forward more than any other country. In fact, at the peak of the push, we subsidized wind energy by 90% over market price for 15 years and 80% over market price for the rest of the time. I'm speaking about feed-in price, which is a very technical term that means that the government gives a guarantee that the price that the renewable companies are going to receive is higher than the market price. So they guarantee a 90% over market price for wind. In fact, it has been even more than this for a while. But and in solar, they guarantee a 575% over market price for 25 years, and for the rest of the life of their plants, 460% over market price. With this little help, they had a return of 12 to 20% return, yearly return. So no wonder everybody in Spain wanted to have such a company, such a renewable energy company. So this means a green rain. This sector has been receiving a lot of funds and excuse me. Well, these are US dollars. I couldn't find a rain of euros. And well, and in fact, the push that I explained in terms of subsidies means a lot of money, a big amount of money that has been given to this promise to these companies. Only thanks to all these monies, these renewable companies have been growing and growing, and thanks to this public money, these public funds, we have experienced a green bubble. The green bubble, thanks to that money, it's a bubble that, as you can imagine, it's difficult to handle, and it's a bubble that results from giving very high, giving a guarantee of these high returns. Everybody wants to produce with these guaranteed returns. And the government not only has to give money for every megawatt that has been produced through renewables, but also if they want to keep the bubble growing, they have to put more and more money, not the same amount, but more and more, because first you have to guarantee the jobs that you have created. But since most of the jobs are in installation of the plants, because renewables do not produce many jobs in maintenance of the plants, so you have to put more and more money in order to build more megawatts that would put more people installing the plants. So this means, again, more megawatts installed and a bigger amount of money that you have to give next year. So this is the bubble we have been experiencing in Spain, a growth of the amount of subsidies we give, a growth of the amount of megawatts we have in renewables. So Spanish companies have become world leaders, no wonder about this. And in fact, well, we have right now 26,000 megawatts installed in special regime. That is more or less the renewable energies. Wind has the largest share with almost 15 megawatts, which is more or less 10% of the installed capacity in Spain. And solar energy has around 3,000, which is 0.7% of the installed capacity. This 0.7 installed capacity gets $13 billion subsidies. In 2010, the target for the solar was 371 megawatts. This shows you how the bubble has gone out of control at a certain point. All these companies operate with a very big leverage. The average one is 8 to 2. So, as I was saying previously, with this return, no wonder that we had huge waiting list. Every Spaniard, by and large, wanted to be producer of renewable energy. Everybody was going to the government saying, I want a license. You needed a license. Because I didn't explain before that if you get the license, you are allowed to produce, but at the same time, the distributor that is nearer to you is obliged to connect you and to buy you the energy at the regulated price. So everybody wanted to produce with these rules. And with the bubble and with the waiting list came also another sort of bubble. This is the corruption bubble. As you can imagine, if you are here, for example, you won't like to see all these people in front of you. You would like to be here, probably. And if you know that you will have a return of many, many millions, in fact, hundreds of millions you might have, so what you do probably is to talk to somebody at a position that can guarantee you that you can jump here, and you give him in return some extra money for weekends and for travels. In fact, this is what has happened. This is not a story that I'm making up. Every month we are discovering a new case of corruption in Spain, and it's logical. These people, these bureaucrats are human beings, and all these people in the queues are also human beings, and there is a lot of public money involved in this. So, but politicians thought that they could handle the bubble and they could play with the bubble. You see, this is a standard politician playing with the bubble there. And they thought they could handle the bubble. So at one point they had to think about this, and they said, well, who is going to pay for this? Who is going to pay for this big amount of money? Because if consumers have to pay, what happens? No, this is not a good idea. If consumers have to pay, consumers are voters, so they are not going to vote us in a few years. Electricity rates are going up, and they're not going to vote us. Taxpayers, no. Taxpayers are also voters, so it's not a good idea either. So what about electricity facilities? Oh yes, electricity facilities is a good idea. The only problem is that electricity facility will say, hey, wait a minute, I will go bankruptcy if I have to pay for these subsidies. But the government say, don't worry about this, don't worry. Look, you pay for these subsidies, and we will handle this together. So you pay now for this, and we will promise you that we will repay you. For example, in 15 years, when we are not going to be in office anymore. And this is what happened. This is what happened. And what happens in the meantime? Well, in the meantime, you do securitization. Have you heard about this? You do securitization of this debt, because we have promised to repay it in the future. Okay, and you go to the financial markets and you sell the securities on this. And this is the way they have been trying to handle with the bubble. Right now, they have produced a deficit, not only because of renewables, but mainly because of renewables, of more or less 16 billion euros because of this scheme. That nobody knows exactly who is going to pay and how it's going to be repaid at the end. Last year, the financial markets, did not want to take any more this securitization, and right now they're in big troubles because nobody knows how they are going to continue. In fact, standard electricity facilities are saying that they cannot invest anymore in new plants until this is resolved, because the financial cost of renewing this is more or less 4.5 billion yearly. So this has been the way to putting more money, and always more money was needed in order to keep this pyramidal system going forward. And at the end, bubble? Well, it has created jobs. No wonder. If you put all this money, you will create jobs everywhere, in any sector in the world. We have created, according to a European Commission study, about 50,200 jobs, and we have spent more or less in subsidies, or we have committed more or less 29 billion euros, so $37 billion in subsidies. Think about this. It means that we have spent more or less $771,000 per every green job that has been created. So very, very expensive green jobs. So what you can do is from a opportunity cost analysis, what you can do is from counterfactual analysis to say, okay, if you wouldn't have taken all these resources from the rest of the economy and putting them into the renewables, how many jobs would have the rest of the economy created? And the result that we had at the study we did at the Universidad Rey Juan Carlos is that the rest of the economy, with this amount of money, with this capitalization, would have been created 2.2 jobs for every job that has been created in the renewable sector. So we are not creating jobs, we are destroying jobs, in fact. Even the minister have recognized that these are very clean energies, but very costly. And at one point, last year, the minister, the government had to reduce a little bit, by 30%, these huge subsidies, but they were still huge. And at that point, the bubble burst. At that moment, all the associations, the renewable association, have been announcing that they are firing thousands of people, thousands of workers, and it's logical because most of the workers were in installation, as the companies recognize. So from the green jobs, we have moved to green unemployment in Spain. And not only this, some companies, many companies, when they see what this is going to produce, the government the regulator has recognized that the price of electricity has to grow by 31% in order to cope with these problems with the renewables. So many energy-intensive companies are going out of the country. And we have many cases in our study. You have copies of the study here. We have at the end of the study many cases where we show how the companies have been going out, some of them to the United States, to Kentucky, for example. And right now, all these companies, they are having a déjà vu. They are seeing here what they saw some years ago in Spain, and they're thinking about, where can I go now? The incredible thing is that your government has been saying for many months that Spain is the model. So I really wonder why a country like the US that has a relatively good employment figures want to copy a case like the one I show, with the general result that that we have in Spain right now, about an 80% unemployment rate. Why would you want to copy our example? I'm not saying that the renewables cost the 18%, but certainly, as you saw in this story, the renewables have not helped to change this. Thank you.